Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. This week, well, today it's quite exciting. I can tell you on Friday I'm launching a interview with someone which will be a little bit controversial. This person I've known for many years. He was a competitor of mine in the training world, and he was so much more advanced, and he worked on three continents. He worked in Australia, here, and in America, and even now he's doing work, different work should I say, in different areas. When I did my interview, he was in Koh Samui, and he actually is in Portugal. It was his base. So he is known throughout the world, and because my contact with him, I actually approached him and said, would you do an interview with me? And this person was fined $18 million. Now, just for doing the interview, I know that I'm going to be criticised, but that's an interesting thing. I've looked at a lot of the criticism around why he's been criticised. Some people have said, look, well, he mentored Ben Rogers, who went bust owing £2 million to investors. Well, so did Simon Zucci, so did many other people. And I think you will agree, when you teach people, and I teach people, I mentor people, you cannot be held responsible for what they do. We teach people in the very best intentions to teach them, to help them make to learn, to further their education, to help them avoid costly mistakes. But it can turn out to be something that individual goes and makes decisions way outside what you want to do. Many of my mentees, I can tell you, I advise, look, do this, this and this. And if they choose to do a different pathway and get into trouble, is that fault of the mentor? That's a question for you. I wouldn't say that you can be held accountable for the actions of your mentors when they're not following your instructions. So it's an interesting one, and I'm sure I'm going to get a little bit of flack for interviewing him. However, with criticism, I can tell you there's a group that twice now they have gone after me, and twice they have been proved to be wrong. It's easy to throw mud, it really is. But do they apologise? No, they don't. They don't do it publicly. They absolutely try to tear people down. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is innocent. No, there are unscrupulous people in the property training world. Absolutely, 100%, no problem agreeing with that. But it's a shame that these people, that when they do start to criticise, when they have the opportunity to speak to the person who they're criticising, and I actually contacted them and said, listen, there's this chatter going on now, would you like to interview me? I'll talk to you, I'll tell you absolute truth what's going on, because it's quite confidential, and I'll put you in the picture. And they turned me down flatly and said, no, there's a complaints procedure, or you can join the chat, which I wasn't going to do. So this person, it is Rick Otten, all right, from Australia. He very much, I think, was one of the founding fathers of bringing lease option agreements into this country. So let's just establish one thing. Option agreements on property, on commercial and land properties, have been here since the year dot, and I am talking thousands of years, okay? Options are a very clever way of controlling property over a period of time, and so you can make revenue through a rental, if you like, and when you sell, you can either buy it or you can sell and make a profit. So let me just give you a little understanding. Supposing, and let's keep it in the commercial, what businesses do, high-end businesses, they will look at a business that's struggling. Let's say it's worth £1 million. A company will come along and say, look, it's worth £1 million, we'll pay you £1 million in 2.5 years, 3 years. So they say, yes, okay, because we're struggling. So what they do, they pick up everything. They will pay the bills, they will pay the running costs, the staff costs, the rental or mortgage, whatever. They're going to cover that. But what they do is they bring their expertise in. They will also improve that property because they're probably a better company. And so because that better company, they attract more business. So yes, there's an investment in there, but they haven't bought the company. So it's cost a lot less than £1 million. Let's say they put in you know, £50,000. It might not even be that, it might be more. But over the next year, 2 years, they've increased the value of that business to 2, 3, 4, 5 million pounds, and then they sell it. Now, they have never purchased that business. All they've done is they've run it, increased it and sold it. So they make the profit over the £1 million. Obviously they've had some expenses. Now, it is a blank sheet of paper. They can actually say, look, it's £1 million and we'll give you 20% of what we make, our net profit in the end. It's an open blank piece of paper that you can negotiate, so it works both sides. I can tell you about 40 years ago, it started in the UK, as it has been in America, in Australia, that you can buy lease option deals in the agents. All right, a lot of people are saying, oh look, you know, Rick Otten has done this and that. Well, when you hear him being interviewed, and I talked to him about the fine, I talked to him, what did you do wrong? So at least hear him out, give him a chance. And he's written a second book. His first book got him into trouble, massively into trouble. This second book, it's a big game changer for him in a way that he is bringing a lot of his experience and knowledge. I think that the book is very good, and we talk about that. However, when purchase options came into this country about 40 years ago in residential properties, which hadn't been seen before, then it opened up a new opportunity for people to come in where they didn't have a lot of cash and they wanted to come into property. The thing is there are a lot of people teaching it willy-nilly, didn't really understand how to do it, and there's one particular thing, tenant buyers, which I think should be absolutely outlawed, but that's a personal thing that I think. I don't like tenant buyers because the tenant is hugely at risk, so I wouldn't advise that. The one thing about purchase options, it is open for abuse, and there is another guy who was featured on BBC, an English guy who was featured on BBC. He went bust owing £3 million, and he put a lot of people in trouble because, let me just give you a very simple thing. If I did a purchase option on your property, I would pretty much take over your mortgage payments. I'd want to pay direct to your bank. So imagine if I've done that, and if I don't pay it, the mortgage doesn't change name, it's in your name, and if I don't pay that money, who's got a problem? Is it you or is it me? It's certainly not me, it's you. Your credit rating suddenly goes bang, and you can't get a mortgage for 3 to 6 years. You're in trouble. And this other person, English guy, that did this big program, big feature, look up £3 million pounds on options debt, and you'll track him down. He does, I won't interview him because I think he did it deliberately, and that's hence I don't want to say the name. I don't want to get into trouble that way. So there are people that do things deliberately in that way, and when you see I've interviewed Rick Otten and what he says, I think you will understand where he is. I actually think some of the mistakes that he made are common to many companies which are doing it, big companies, multinational companies, which are doing the same thing here today. So it's interesting to learn about consumer law. So give it a chance, have a listen. I really want your comments. If you're doing purchase options, purchase lease options, there's two different styles of them, then, you know, they are really, really powerful. I bought 2 properties back in 2007, and you imagine 2007-8, just at that turn, crash, and it put me into a huge amount of debt. Now, purchase lease options, which I went to learn from someone else right back then, actually kept us afloat, because I managed to do options for 5 to 7 years. I paid their mortgage, then we'd rent it out, and we would make the profit on that rent, and it worked really, really well for us. So that kept us afloat. So they were really good, and I still use them today in a different way. I use more of a purchase option where I can get a contract. Let's suppose you have a house, let's say it's 300,000. It needs a whole refurb. Let's suppose I put £50,000 of my own money, and now it's worth 425. We sell it, and maybe we share some of the profit. That's a purchase option. If you're interested in it, I do have a course on it. Hey, listen, I've been a specialist in it for many, many years. I trained purchase options for Progressive Property and for Simon Zucci and for another company I don't want to mention really. But so I've been around and for a long time, and I'm a specialist in it. I've got a lot of knowledge in purchase options. I do have a home study course in that, in buy refurbish finance, and in buying at auctions, where I promise you that course, if you're going to buy an auction, you must get it, because it will save you thousands of pounds. Guys, subscribe for Friday. Watch it. It's going to be over 6 weeks. It's a little slot each week for 6 weeks, a series with Rick Otten. I'd love to hear your comments. You might slate me, whatever. I look forward to it, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you see. I'd love to get your feedback on it, and if you want me to interview more people like Rick Otten, then please say. If you say you shouldn't be interviewing, then say, look, I understand. I'm just trying to be a little bit more cutting edge and say, look, here's someone that has been established in the business for many, many years, and now he got absolutely hammered by the Australian government. It was his business, We Buy Houses, and him personally, 12 million and 6 million. Fine. And said he cannot be a director in Australia for over 10 years. He cannot operate for 10 years in Australia. Very serious. But I look forward to your comments. Listen, have a great week. God bless you. Thank you.